The vanished neighbors. Lin Hao never imagined that this quiet little town would turn into his worst nightmare. One night, he felt a strange sense of unease. It was as if something was watching him from outside his window, and he could faintly hear whispers in the darkness. Carefully, he walked to the window and opened it just a crack. But all he saw was the empty street below. Not even a stray cat was in sight. Still, this eerie feeling stayed with him. Determined, Lin Hao decided to test whether things in the neighborhood were really changing. Each day, he started writing down details about the people and the layout of the street. The mysterious black notebook. One morning, Lin Hao found an old, black notebook lying outside his door. Curious, he picked it up and opened it, only to discover a list of names and addresses names that included his vanished neighbors. On the last page, he found a single line that sent chills down his spine, "Erase plan," and right above the last name was his own. His heart pounded as he realized he was somehow involved in a terrifying scheme. He flipped back to the first page, where he saw another cryptic note. "Remember, if you leave a trace here, you will be completely erased." The words were faded, but unmistakably clear, as if written specifically for him. Feeling both dread and determination, Lin Hao knew he had to get to the bottom of this erase plan if he ever hoped to escape his fate. The secret of the town. Lin Hao regained his composure and decided to investigate the town further. As he dug through old newspapers and archives, he discovered a pattern. Every few years, people in the town mysteriously disappeared. What was worse, no one ever looked into these disappearances, not even their relatives seemed to remember them. Then he stumbled upon an article that mentioned a bizarre experiment in the town decades ago. It was called the Forgetting Plan, a psychological experiment designed to study memory and perception in a closed community. It appeared the entire town had been created specifically for this purpose, and residents were unknowingly chosen to live here. Clues of a conspiracy. As the truth unfolded, Lin Hao realized he had become a target in this twisted experiment. Everyone who had any memory of a missing neighbor would themselves be erased. Every time he tried to document a neighbor or incident, the notes would mysteriously vanish. It dawned on him the town was systematically cleaning any trace of memory, erasing everyone who got too close to the truth. One night, he heard footsteps echoing through the hallway outside his door. Low voices and a faint mechanical hum accompanied them. He peered through the peephole and saw a group of people in black uniforms, going door to door, checking each apartment. When they finally reached his door, Lin Hao quickly hid the notebook, held his breath, and prayed they would pass. The final decision. A few days later, Lin Hao couldn't bear the terror of being hunted any longer. He resolved to escape the town, but when he reached the town's edge, he found himself unable to take that final step out. No matter how hard he tried, it felt as though an invisible force was keeping him trapped. Just then, a low voice whispered in his ear, "Only by forgetting can you escape." Lin Hao realized that if he erased every memory of his neighbors and the mystery, he might finally be free of this place. Desperate, Lin Hao gathered his black notebook and all the notes he'd taken, tossing them into a fire. He watched in agony as the clues he had pieced together turned to ash. As the fire died down, he felt a strange numbness take over. The memories of his missing neighbors and everything he had discovered began to fade. The next morning, Lin Hao stood at the town's edge, his mind a blank. Without any hesitation, he took a step forward and found himself free. He glanced back, feeling no trace of the terror he had once felt, having completely forgotten why he'd ever wanted to leave. He left the town and started a new life. Meanwhile, the quiet little town stood as it always had, waiting for the next resident to enter its mystery. Months later, a new tenant moved into Lin Hao's old apartment. This new resident discovered a burnt black notebook tucked away in a hidden corner. Faint letters on the cover spelled out "Erase Plan." Without a second thought, The resident opened the notebook, setting the town's dark fate into motion once again.